I decided to get a little bit of a later start today for two reasons. One, I was really hungry this morning, so I had breakfast at home, which I typically don't do. And two, just because it's Tuesday, because yesterday was Columbus Day, so we had the day off. I was really thankful to have a 3-day weekend. It was so nice to just be able to relax at home and kind of take it a little bit slower than normal on the weekend. Typically I feel like I'm being rushed, like it always feels like it's too short. I think we should all petition to have 3-day weekends every weekend. So this morning, what I really want to do is I'm going to kind of draw out something on my board. The something that I'm talking about is a chart that will log my groups, quick checks, writing, reading. I want it all up there. If you guys have been following me for a little bit, then you know that last year I had kind of a grid on my board, and that grid allowed me to put down special days, like special days. I kind of wrote those things down. I had the kids who were going through the writing process, like they moved their name on the writing process. I wasn't too sure how this year was going to end up working out for me, because I'm kind of testing the waters a little bit with everything. I've been trying things out to see exactly what I like and what I don't like, and how I need to have things, and how I like to teach things. So now that I kind of feel pretty good about my groups and like my fitting and my setup and how everything else is going, I need to get my board together so that my kids can start requesting to do their own quick checks. So typically, like once, and this was something that I got from my partner last year, but typically when the kids feel really confident within a skill, they can request to do a quick check. For some of those kids who are a little bit anxious and don't know when to say, I'm ready, you can obviously make that teacher judgment call and kind of push them along. But there are some kids who maybe after one lesson they feel really good about it. Well, why don't you just let them test out and see if they understand the material and then move them on? So I'm implementing that inside of my classroom as well. So I need to get something up on my board. For right now, I'm just going to draw it with an Expo marker before I start putting down tape, because I need to figure out exactly where I want things. So I'm going to try it out this week, just drawing it in with a marker, and then we'll see. So what if I did it by subject? So I had math here, science or writing here, and then reading last. I cannot draw the straight line for the love of me. Okay, and then what I'll do is I have, wow, that looks amazing. Okay, so here's my little grid that I have so far. So the math groups are represented by shapes and colors, so each shape has a certain color. I don't like to put colored markers on here for some reason. I just get really weird about it. So I just put their shapes for right now. The writing, I did it within the writing process so I can know where my kids are as far as their own personal writing and what they're doing, so that they're going to be able to move their names down. I'll have little names on magnets for them so that they can just move them down themselves. And then for reading, I have them designated by color. I have an orange, purple, green, and a blue group. And then this last column is meant for conferences. So math, because they have quick checks, I put a quick check here, conferences there, writing conferences, and then reading conferences. So in case students need to have just a little extra help, or they just don't quite understand something, they need to be able to sit down and kind of have a one-on-one, they can write their names up there. But this is kind of what I'm hoping will end up working out. So the purpose of the reading and the writing columns, writing, it's pretty self-explanatory. Like the kids are moving down the writing process within their own personal narratives. For the math and the reading, I wanted something, because they are on such different levels, so many of them are doing different things. I wanted to put down what is it that they're focusing on, and then what do I have them doing independently. So the kids might be working on a variety of different things. In math, once they start kind of getting projects going over, some of these groups may end up working on a project to be able to demonstrate that they have an understanding for that skill. Same thing in reading. So I just wanted it to be something that the kids can be able to look at and they have an understanding of what it is that is expected of them during that time. So that's my layout for right now. We'll see how it ends up working out. I'm gonna try it out like this for this week. I know it's not the prettiest of things, but you know what, I gotta try it out before I actually start to take the time to like do it all nice and straight up there. I would seriously be kicking myself if I took all that time to put my washi up there and it not work out the way that I want it to work out. So I'm gonna have this ugly version instead for this week. This morning is pretty low-key because I did spend so much time on Friday making sure that I got everything kind of cleared away, ready to go. I did make some copies that I needed to make this morning, so that is done. I'm reviewing my lesson plans as we speak. I have those out and I kind of went through and I explicitly wrote them out this time. So here are what my math lessons look like. I went through and I explicitly wrote out everything. Up here you're going to notice that it says TBD after quick check, so I can't really plan these days until I know how my kids do on these quick checks. So I just kind of left it like that. This one we're going to see how he does on this today, and then I'm going to plan out the rest of the week for him. But that's kind of what it looks like. It just helps my brain a little bit more understand exactly what it is that I'm doing with each of the groups. Very like kindergarten style when I used to teach kindergarten. I have kind of the exact same thing for reading, except reading isn't as done as I would have liked, but it's okay. So yeah, I'm going to review my lesson plans. I got a couple of things that I need to get rid of over here, clear that off, get it ready to go, and then I might start putting some of the things up on this little board that need to get ready. Day one with my board is looking pretty good. I did have to make a couple of changes just because of a few issues that we had. So on the board over here on this side, I had different shapes here. I'm going to have to change those shapes because the kids were getting confused with the shapes that were up here and the shapes that are on the goal work itself. Today was the very first day that I actually gave each group a name shape, and they were all confused by the end of it. So I said, you know what, I'm just going to change you all to the shape that you are on your goal work, and then I'm going to change the color to signify what group you're in. So there are triangle groups and circle groups. Triangle groups have different colors, and there's only one circle group, so I'm only dealing with that one group itself. But other than that, it worked out really well. And I also had the idea to be able to put my I can statements on there. So right here we ended up putting the I can statements. Like I can represent a number in a word form, I can represent a number in a variety of forms. So I put the I can statements up here so that the kids knew exactly what they were going to be focusing on for that day versus me just using the sentence strips that I've been using. I would have to go through and like change them out for each group. This just makes it really nice for me to be able to say, all right, this is what you're doing, this is what you're doing, and they can specifically look at their group. Eventually they're going to have little things that they're focusing on, so it's going to have the list of things that they're going to be focusing on for their group that they have to finish independently, but I didn't put that up there today. So yes, I thought it was very nice. Got a few that are on my quick check for today, and then I erased just now, and then I was like, oh, I need to tell you guys. So I just erased it right now. Sorry. But then I had the same thing for my reading groups that are over here. So the kids kind of knew what their I can statements were. Overall, it went pretty well. Day one was semi-okay. We had to make some adjustments, made those adjustments, doing well. I do need to head out because I need to go to Michael's and I need to head to hopefully the Dollar Tree. I'm still on the hunt for these little baskets. I tried to go to a couple of Dollar Trees in my area. I think there's like about 3 or 4 Dollar Trees in my area. None of them so far have had them. I need to go to one more that's pretty close to me and see if they have these little baskets, and if not, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I need to figure out something. I really don't want to use a pencil container, like a where you put your school supplies container, just because they're so big. I like these a little bit better. It's what I'm used to. It's what I used in kindergarten. I don't know, I thought it would be okay, but I can't find them. So I'm gonna go to one more Dollar Tree, see if I can find them there. I also want to make like a math toolkit for the kids to be able to use as far as like some manipulatives that they can have during group. I don't like the fact that I have to pass out manipulatives. I hate passing out manipulatives. I feel like it takes away so much time. I just want them to be able to take it out and say, boom, there it is. So I want to make a little toolkit for each kid that comes to my group with just a variety of manipulatives inside of it. So I need to head to Michael's, pick up some materials there, and then hopefully be able to start sorting some things at home. So I'm going to take a few supplies with me so that I can do that at home. And yeah, that's really all I had today. It was a pretty simple day. A lot of organizing, I feel like. I think I learned my lesson. I will never, ever, ever watch a scary movie before bed on the night that I have to go to school the next day. I watched a scary movie last night and it was so hard for me to fall asleep. I kept waking up thinking people were in my house, and then I was thinking that people were outside in my car.
All right, let's begin.
So I went out yesterday to Michael's and I ended up purchasing some containers to make my little math toolkits that I want to keep at my small group table. I then quickly realized I don't have a lot of math manipulatives. So I went onto Amazon and I purchased these and these, at least to get me started for a little bit. I have a little bit of math manipulatives, but because at my old school, when I did teach math in kindergarten, they provided all of our math manipulatives for us. So I didn't have to purchase any. I have things like dice and buttons, and I have bears, like counting bears. And then I have like a few of these already. I don't have a ton of them because I used them in reading. I didn't use them a ton in math. Oh, I didn't use them a ton in I didn't use these a ton in math. I used them a lot more in reading than I did in math, but I figured these would be really nice to be able to have on hand for when we're creating arrays. So I have some of these, I have some dice, I have some tops if I don't have enough of the other little counters for right now. So I'm gonna make myself some type and figure out how I want to organize this little man for my math toolkits. Oh, and I do have these. So I do have all of these, which I cut out. So it's all of these little dots that resemble the foam place value dots. There's some really nice foam place value dots out there. Oh, how I would love to get my hand on those. However, they're expensive. So I was like, ain't nobody got money for that. So I decided just to like fake it until I make it. So I created these little dots here to be able to go along with it. So I can place those in here as well because the kids do use these a ton. But yeah, that's kind of my game plan this morning. I also need to make some pots. I need to make some pots because today we are planting lima beans. We're doing a lima bean investigation so that we can watch roots grow and watch them sprout. So I got a ton of the little bags. My partner Katie is actually doing lima beans herself, so she's going to be bringing those in that are already pre-soaked. But I'm cutting out the little cute pot so that we can put them up on the windowsill. We have all these little pots of lima beans. Ah, so adorable. I know, I can't get enough of it either. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna cut these out, and then I'm gonna figure out what I want to do with my math stuff, and then I also have to change my I can statement, so I need to get that stuff done this morning. Did I also mention my superintendent's coming? He's in the building today, which is why I'm wearing my blazer. Today was a crazy busy kind of day. It was a really good day, but it was one of those days where it was just extremely busy. So we had the superintendent actually come into our rooms today, and he just kind of sat back and observed, got a little bit more knowledge on like how we're running the MAC program, and it went really, really well. I didn't know what time they were going to be coming. I just knew that it was going to be a range, and it was pretty much my entire reading time that they were going to like be coming around in the building, walking into rooms. So I had a group of students that were working on extrinsic characteristics and finding those in some of their books. Well, I am very, very big about having my kids be the teacher and come up and actually start talking about what is it that we reviewed, kind of reviewing with the kids, getting them to discuss some of the things that they've been working on and what were they observing inside. So I ended up saying, you know what, I'm going to try it with this group and I'm going to see what happens. So I threw the kids under the bus, and so I had the group going. Nobody was in my room at this time. Again, didn't know when they were coming, and I pretty much told one of my kids, I was like, I told him, I looked at him, I was like, who wants to be the teacher? Oh, their little hands showed up and they're very, very excited about it. So I pick one of the kids, they come up on top of the stage and I go and I take a seat where the students are. And she was so excited and she started talking about what it was that we were learning about, and they reviewed the things that were in their character booklet. And here comes my principal and my superintendent, and I typically like ignore them when they come in. I don't like to like look at them because it just makes me a little bit nervous, and so I like to keep my eyes forward. So I sitting down and I'm kind of like guiding her through it because it is her first time of doing it. She's a 4th grader. She's very new to it. And she did a really great job. She, you know, had kids asking questions. She was asking them questions. She went through, she read her piece out of her book that showed the extrinsic characteristics. So the kids got to talk about that. They partner talked. I had other kids get up and like share some of that. And so it was a lot of them kind of leading the discussion today, which was really, really exciting. So I think it went overall really, really well. But it's, again, just one of those really crazy busy days. We were supposed to get to our lima bean project. We were not able to get to our lima bean project. Hopefully these lima beans will be okay overnight again. They've already been soaking last night. I'm hoping that it'll be okay to have them soak again. This is what it's going to end up looking like in the very end of it. So these are going to get posted right up here. And hopefully they'll grow some, you know, sprout. They'll start to sprout and we'll see some roots. That'll be very exciting. So yes, that is kind of what we were supposed to do during science today. We were not able to get it finished, but hopefully we will definitely get to that part tomorrow. Today definitely seems to be one of my like busier type of days, just because I do have so many things that I feel like I need to print and I need to cut and I need to laminate. I am having a couple of students who are finishing their math work a little bit, or not a little bit, like it's probably literally like 5 or 10 minutes before we have to leave, but still they're finishing early. So I need to create some type of early finishers for them. And reading, it's so easy because you just tell them to go back and just read and just kind of enjoy a book, and they love doing that. But in math, you can't do that. I think what we're going to end up doing is we might do some coding with the math group for those kids who do finish early. Front row Fridays are always a thing that we did last year in case the kids finish early, so they could do front row. And we'll have some other activities. I think like multiplication and some division games, things like that, that they could always go back and use that practice with, are definitely going to be things that I'm putting out. So I have a couple of things that I want to laminate. I want to get that ready for some of those kids who are finishing early, just so that they're not causing a ruckus, you know what I mean? Although the one who did finish early, I was very proud of him today, because he was like, I finished early and so-and-so doesn't have somebody to play a game with. Can I, or not, it's not a game, like goal work. So-and-so doesn't have a partner to do goal work with. Can I please, you know, help him and do this goal work with him? I'm like, absolutely. Like, that is such a fantastic choice. Like, that's really, really nice. So, I mean, super kudos to that kiddo. But yes, that's kind of what I'm doing now. I have a little bit of a pile that I need to go through. I have yet to make my math toolkits, but I do want to show you what the idea of what I want to put inside of them. So I told you guys that I want to make a little math toolkit, only because I hate passing out materials to my kids during math time. I feel like it's a waste of time. I don't have the time to do it, and then there's a huge mess everywhere, and I just don't like to deal with it. So I wanted to create a little math toolkit. I think I've seen something like this on the internet. I'm not really sure. But I'm trying to make it my own and make it to the way that I teach math. So right now, what I have inside of it, bad glare, I have the hundreds, like the place value coins, like cutouts, because I don't have the foam ones. And then I also have some dice that are in here, and then I have some counters that are in here as well. I have a couple of other things that I would like to put in there, maybe some tiles inside of it. I'm not 100% sure yet, to be honest. I kind of am just going to wait and see as I kind of start teaching what it is that I need to add to it. Right now, these are the only things that I can kind of see that I want to add to it, because easily I can always have my kids come out and like whenever I'm done, I'll be like, roll some numbers. Like, it's easy. I want you to roll these 2 times, make one for the hundreds, make one for this, one roll run for the millions, boom, done. And then I have the little coins for when we're doing anything with place value. So I don't know. We're gonna see. I'm gonna start off with this, see where I need to go next with it. I feel like this is a pretty good place to start. I would like to make little covers for them, although they're gonna stay inside these little desks. So I have the little desk, the opening is to me, so they're gonna stay right in here. So yeah, have not finished these. I do need to finish these. And then again, I have all that stuff right there that I need to take care of. It seems like it's just, I'm getting my organization down for math. That's exactly what I'm doing. I'm getting myself organized for math. Although I am really, really, really liking the folder system. If you guys did not watch my video from last week, the folder system has been working out beautifully for me. So one more thing I promise before I stop rambling on, because I know I'm talking a ton right now, but in order to help our kids to be more responsible and to take ownership of their activities that they have that they need to complete, and also to make sure that we're also individualizing our kids' groups and units and things that they're working on, we decided that we're doing our weekly targets. This is a lot like what we did last year, except it's a little more, well, it's a lot more individualized. So I'm gonna show you one. Let me cover this sweet girl's name. So here's like an example of a learning target. So KT is the one who actually made these for us. But up here, you're gonna see that each target has something specific. So this one has content, this one is for reading down here. On the other side, she has one for math, and then she has one for writing. So depending on who she is with, that teacher has already told them what the focus target is going to be for that week. So I may have some kids who are solely working on representing numbers within a variety of number forms. Others that are working on comparing numbers and ordering numbers. So those are going to be their targets that they're focusing on, and then every day they have specific tasks or projects or things that they're working on in order to be able to meet those goals. So what we do with them is, I'm going to move you to my board. We write their target that they're focusing on up here, but then we're also going to have an area where we are writing down what it is that they're focusing on or that they need to be completing in order to meet that goal. So they have Spiral to help them here. They also have Reflex to help them there. And then inside of their goal work, they're working on the folder that's called Comparing. That will help them be able to read this. And this is an actual choice here. So let me show you what that is. So this is for goal work. The kids already know that this is for goal work, and I'll show you where they go. So KW is the one who came up with the system, and I think it is a brilliant system that she came up with. You just have to really get on to the kids about making sure that it's kept neat. So each shape represents a grade level, and then this one we haven't made the final piece to it, but this is place value for circle, then this is place value for triangle. If you guys remember, on that board up there, I have circles and I have triangles. Their group shape matches the shape on here. The color will change the actual group itself. So I have a red triangle group, a green triangle group, a blue triangle group, and then I have a yellow or circle group or something to that extent. That will tell them what group they are, so that because I have more than one triangle group. So when they have their goal work and they know that they have goal work, I told you guys up there, they know that they have number forms. Well, they know that they have to come to the folder that has the number forms on it. So they would find the number forms, and then on here has a list of activities that they would be able to complete. So they have different games here that they can do. The number that's here also matches the number on the folder that's in here. And then they also have a list of IXL activities that they can do. So every day they're working on one of these activities, and then they're submitting it to our Schoology form. So that's kind of how they have their choice in this, is that they're able to just go through and pick out what exactly they want to work on that day. So when the kids actually have these written down, what they will end up doing, is down here at the bottom, they have something that says completed, and then they have something that says homework. Well, if they finish everything, you can see over here, she did little checklists to say, or check marks next to everything to say that she did finish it. She can mark completed at the end of it. It looks a little bit different for writing and for content just because of the nature of it. But for content here, they're making predictions of the life cycle of the lima bean. Over here, they're adding character detail for writing. So every day it looks a little bit different, but what's going to be nice is that we're going to send this home to parents at the end of the week, so parents can kind of get an idea of what it is that their kids have been doing during the week in order to be able to meet their goals that they're working towards. So they have a little spot for a parent signature for them to return. So that's it for a nutshell. That's like my grid itself. It is not pretty at all right now. I promise you it will end up getting pretty, but because I've been trying it out this week, figuring out exactly how I want it to work, how it best flows, I didn't want to like put it set in stone until I was ready to do it, you know? And I've already made like 3 changes. So I also added my writing focus over here. I added my science focus over there. And then these have pretty much all stayed the same. So the kids have the exact same thing for reading. They have their focus for their group there. And then they also have their journal entry that they're working on. So in their journal, they're focusing on asking questions because that's what we've been focusing on previously. So yeah, everybody's is kind of a little bit different, like talking about characters' actions is exactly what they're looking for. That's their focus for tomorrow, so that's what they're going to be looking for. It's not pretty, y'all, but it's working. It's working out really, really nice. So eventually it'll look pretty. It will. So it is a rainy day. I am ready to go home, but I need to get some stuff cleaned up. So I'm going to get some work done for just a little bit and then hopefully head home and to see my dining room because my husband painted our dining room. I've come to the realization that I'm never going to find these containers at the Dollar Tree. I cannot find them absolutely anywhere in my area. So I had to come up with a plan B. And the plan B that I came up with last night, I said, you know what? Since I'm going ahead and I'm making these little math toolkits right here, why is it that I'm not just combining the things that they're gonna need in order to write? Because that's what this is. This is the purpose of this. It's to be able to put all of their writing utensils so that it's ready to go. The only thing that I'm not able to fit inside of this box is a glue stick, because our glue sticks have this crazy huge top on it. So I'm just gonna find some different glue sticks for my small group table, and I'm not gonna use these in small group, and that's gonna be okay. And then that way I have everything I need inside of this little kit. So I made one for my math small group area, and I also think I'm gonna make one for my reading small group area, so that I can have some different materials inside of here, because I do have a couple of things that I would use in reading that I don't have inside of this math kit. So I am gonna get one more set of these so that I can have 2 separate ones and then just kind of place them out on my table ready to go for my 2 different small groups that I have. I want to show you what I have in here right now. There'll probably be a couple of things that will end up adding in there and then maybe changing as some of the things that I'm teaching is also changing. I haven't quite figured out exactly what I want to have inside of here, but there are some things that I don't think I'm going to keep in there all the time. Like obviously I can't keep base 10 blocks. Too small. They're like this is too small. I can't fit it. It's not going to work. So I want to show you what I got in here. Okay, so inside of this little math toolkit, the things that I really wanted to make sure that I had was a pencil, obviously, for when we're writing inside of our journals, dry erase markers when we're writing on whiteboards, or I let them write on the desks. And then I cut up a little piece of felt that we'll use as an eraser to be able to erase their dry erase marker. So those are the things that I really wanted to have inside of the little blue kits or baskets from the Dollar Tree. I also decided to add a couple of other things in here. I like to have some dice in here ready to go because I feel like with math, it's easy just to be able to create numbers during certain things that you're talking. So if I'm doing a comparing lesson, I'm like, okay, I want you to roll to create your own number. They can be able to create their own numbers and then roll again to be able to compare the 2 numbers. So I feel like this is a really easy way for me to I feel like this is going to be an easy way for me to just be able to kind of add some fun into my lessons. So I like to add those little dice in there. I absolutely love using these little counters. I think these are really great for when you're making arrays, when you're also looking at patterns, anything. I don't know. I love them. I'm hoping that I'm going to be able to use them more. I'm not really sure. We'll end up seeing once I start teaching, like all of the different areas in math. And the other thing that I talked to you guys about were these little round coins. There are little like foam coins that you can purchase out there that have like the base tins on them. Ain't nobody got money for that. So we ended up doing these little coins that we saw other people doing. So I have those in here along with some of these to be able to create bigger numbers. So that's kind of what I got inside of it. It's nothing too fancy, too special, but it'll help me be a little bit more prepared for my math groups. Now the only other thing that I need to add inside of that are glue sticks, but I need to find glue sticks that are skinnier. Today we are actually going to get to do our science investigation with our beans. My other two partners got to do it and I have yet to be able to get it done. So I'm excited to be able to do this today. I sent my husband out to go and purchase some things for me so that I can have it a little bit easier for my kids to be able to get to it. So I'm going to go ahead and set some of these things out over here in this little area so that when science is ready to go, I am ready to go because we don't have a break in between those content areas. So I need to make sure that everything is kind of out there ready to go and all I have to do is pass out the materials. Y'all, my husband got me some Reese's peanut butter cups. I love Reese's peanut butter cups. Oh, I'm excited. Is it bad if I want to eat one of these right now?
Of air conditioning and heating. Our homes are less subject to the weather materials when you put them in the drawer. Categorizing by
I spent the majority of my morning preparing some of the games and activities that I'm going to be doing in my math lessons this morning and also grading assessments. So with that being said, I didn't do anything except sit in this exact same spot. I have to go to a meeting, so I will hopefully catch up with you guys during my lunch break. So my area looks the way my day ended. It was not a bad day at all. It was just a very, very, very busy day. Like there was a lot going on, a lot that I was doing, small groups going everywhere. We had the bean investigation. It was just one of those that was a really very busy day. So I do want to show you what we did in science because I really like this activity. And the setup and everything that I had went really, really well. So I want to talk to you just a little bit about how I set everything up. So if some of you are not familiar with this lesson is actually a pretty like recognized and like old type lesson, but it's where you take lima beans and then you place them in the bag and you'll hang them up and the lima beans are going to sprout. So you'll see little leaves come up and then you're going to see the roots come out. So they're going to sprout. That's kind of the whole point of the lesson because the kids are going to be making observations of what's happening with the beans over an extended period of time. So this is what it ended up looking like you can see some of them that are up here. Before the lesson began, I went on ahead and made sure that I had all of my materials set out and ready to go. So some of the things that we had that we had lima beans inside of a container and they were soaking inside of water. I also had some sandwich sized Ziploc bags, paper towels. I had a few of the water bottles filled up with water for spraying on their towels. I had the cutouts already cut out, ready to go. And then I also had a stapler up here, and I also had some plastic table covers. Obviously I don't have any more of those because those all ended up going in the trash after this lesson was finished. Now, my science time is a little bit awkward because it is right after my writing time. So it's right in between my writing and my reading time, which means I don't have any transition time in there. So I don't have anything where the kids kind of go and do something else. I had to figure out a way in order to get all my tables set up and ready to go for them to do this lesson because my kids are not capable of like walking around to complete these tasks. They get off task, they start talking, it just becomes a hot mess inside of the room. So what I ended up doing is I ended up having them clean up their areas with their notebooks and everything. They ended up putting them off on the side. So they put them out over here, they put them on the other side of the room away from any of the tables. When that was done, I asked them all to go and take a seat up front. So they sat up front and I went to one of my students and I was like, who wants to be a teacher? I pulled the exact same thing that I did yesterday. And so I picked one of my students and told them, I was like, listen, I want you to go over the materials that you guys were supposed to have yesterday. And then I also want you to go over the directions with someone. So he went up there, he did such a good job. He was like, so yesterday we talked about how to do the bean investigation and we talked about materials. Okay, who who knows the material? One person, one material, go. It was the cutest thing ever. But as they were doing that, I pulled 3 kids. And those 3 kids, I gave them each a job. So they were putting the table covers up, they were taking out the paper towels, setting those out for students to be able to grab. We had permanent markers for the kids to be able to write their names on their bags. And then we had the water bottles filled with water at the tables. So after the kids and I had all the tables set up, we went up and we said, okay, now you're gonna take out your science journal, because we wrote all of our directions and materials in our science journal yesterday. They went back to their table and it worked so beautifully. I didn't have kids going crazy. They were engaged with the other student being the teacher up there. They did such a fantastic job. I was actually very proud of them. I ended up doing the stapling piece of it. Once they made the paper towels damp, they brought me the paper towel inside of their little Ziploc bag. And then I would go ahead and create a shelf here. The shelf just allows the beans to be able to sit up a little bit higher, so when the roots start to grow, they have kind of space to be able to let them grow inside of, to grow down. So I stapled the shelf for them, and then I also stapled the little pot for them, and then they went to go and fill the beans by themselves and kind of close it up. So that's kind of how the process went. They were responsible of gathering their paper towels at their table. They made them damp, they folded it, they made it damp with the water sprayer, and then they placed it inside of the little Ziploc bag and brought it to me. So that's kind of how it went. I mean, it went so well. I need to figure out how to get it to stay up there, because we have, like, do you see that? Oh, poop. One of them fell. I have kind of a screen, and I really didn't want to put it all the way up here because I want the kids to be able to measure, but I don't know how else to get it to stick on that screen. So I'm gonna have to brainstorm here. I'm not really sure what to do. So that's kind of the investigation, how it went. It went really, really well. If any of you are wondering about my little cutout, I literally just put a bag down and I just kind of traced the bag and made a little rectangle at the very top of it and just cut a hole. I didn't use any kind of a template. I just was winging it, and it works for me. But yeah, so that entire lesson went really, really well. I was very proud of them. I have a stinking mess and I really want to go home. Poop. I was able to get my room cleaned, which is so nice to have it this way before I leave to go home. I was also able to get the beans up on the windows, although some of them are probably going to end up falling down, but right now they're good. And I ended up just putting some on the very top, and I don't know what we're going to do whenever we have to go and just do measurements. Maybe we'll just take them down so that we can measure them and then just put them right back up. It's a little bit of a pain, but it is what it is. So I got the kids beans up on the windows. They look really, really cute. It's one of my favorite views. Look at that. So those are up. I'm happy that part's done. I need to do a couple of things for my highlighter toolkit. I guess I forgot to go and get orange highlighters, which I need orange highlighters to be able to finish this off. For some of you who do not know what this is, I created a toolkit for highlighters. I like using highlighters in my teaching, but I use them for lots of different purposes. And I think, I'm gonna get away from the air conditioner, sorry. But everything that I've seen everywhere else, they use highlighters like for reading, and they create a reading highlighter kit, and they create a writing highlighter kit. But I use them for everything, and I want my kids to be able to see that you can use highlighters as a source to be able to help you learn. So I created an all-purpose, that was a book, it's okay. I created an all-purpose highlighter toolkit. So inside of it, the kids will have the highlighters in there. Right, this one has an orange actually, so that's a good thing. I think I am missing a purple though inside of this. I'm missing a purple. But each one of these little cards that they have inside of it has a different purpose. So this one is used for editing your writing. This one is used for close reading informational. This one is used for close reading and literature. And then I'm gonna have some that I use for math and then some other topics as well. But I wanted this to be able, for my students to be able to use them across a wide range of subjects, and it worked really well today in writing. So I need to pick up some other highlighters because I am missing some in some of the containers. Some of them don't have it, so that was kind of a problem when I took these out today. Teacher fail, but that's okay. I'm gonna go pick up some orange highlighters and everything will be fine. So just wanted to show that to you guys. If you are curious about this product, it is in my store, so you guys are more than welcome to head on over there. I will put a link down below. As I do things and as I try things out in my classroom, you know, I'll add to it. It's all good. But yeah, that's up in my store. So if you wanna go and check it out, go check it out. Oh, it's like 4 minutes to 5 and I'm not quite done yet. I had some kids who took some quick checks today, so I need to go through my checklist and just make sure that I mark them off that they've completed and they've mastered that skill. Once I do that, then I'm able to go home. I have to keep myself organized, and if I don't take the time to be able to go say, yep, you got it, I am gonna forget, and then come report card time, I'm be yelling at myself. So I have my kids' checklist here. You can kind of see where some of them have already started checking off. I'm just gonna go through, check these kiddos off, and yeah, all done. Woo! Once that is done, then I can file these away and I am done and set to go. On Fridays, what I'm gonna end up doing is I'm just gonna spend just a few minutes to be able to log the things that I've checked in my planner, in my teacher planner, as far as the standards that they've made, that they've mastered, and make sure that I check them off inside of the report cards where we have to put it into the little database, and then it like creates the little report cards for them. So I just need to make sure that I do that every Friday so that I can stay on top of it, or else I'm gonna be drowning in work later on. So I'm gonna go ahead and get these filed, and then that is one less thing on my checklist.
I already know what the client...
I have some tasks that I need to make sure that I'm getting done this morning, and one of those tasks that I need to finish is to complete a goal work bucket for another group that I have. So I figured while I'm doing this and I am putting it together, I would kind of give you guys a better understanding and an explanation of how is it that we put these together, because this wasn't originally my idea, so please don't think that by all means. But this was an idea that came up from my partner KW that I had last year. She started doing this towards the mid-year and getting these put together. It is a lot of work. I'm not gonna say that it is not. It is a ton of work. However, once you have it, it is done, and then you don't have to worry about it again. So the idea of goal work is that students are working on skills independently. So some people kind of think of this as like stations. However, we don't really have time to be able to do the stations part of it. So instead we say, listen, you need to have certain things finished. One of those things might be some type of an independent work that your teacher is requiring you to do after you leave small group. Another one of those things that you have to get done is the reflex, and then also your goal work needs to be submitted. So we're getting them to practice little tasks independently or with a partner. Some of these games actually require a partner for it, but it's kind of like your stations activity. Just think about it that way. And it's individualized. So it's a little bit harder to create math stations inside of your classroom, especially when you're really trying to make sure that you're individualizing the needs of every student. So with the way that we are doing it, it truly does individualize their work outside of small group time into the independent time. So here's what I got. It's a bunch of games. Sorry, I'm sitting on the floor, but it's a bunch of games, and these need to now get sorted into file folders. So the folders that we use, they look like this. We get these from the Dollar Tree. So you can find these, they have little pockets in the front for them to put any type of cards inside of it. And then inside of it, we'll usually have the directions, and then it will have any type of boards that they'll need. We also put directions here for them so that they can see exactly what is required of this game, like how do they actually play it. So I have a few of these. You can get them in all kinds of colors, but they are hard to find, so sometimes we just have to kind of purchase them through the website and get them delivered. But these are what they look like. Again, it just has like a nice little pocket. There's a little label if you're curious. but they're great little folders. I will say that the kids break these little tabs, but they're really easy to put back in. So it's not like it's a awful thing. They're easy to put back in. Okay, so I have these, and now what I need to do is I need to go through and I need to sort out the games that I have. So my partner printed out, because she and I switched around some of our kids. So KW printed out some of the games because she was already getting these together for him. So here is, let me see if I can pull this out real fast without like destroying everything. So here's this one, this little activity. You can see that it has like little cards in it. It has a little board in it, so I can easily just place the cards inside here, and then I'm gonna place the board in there, and then there is one activity. Now what we do is we group the activities based on the skills that they work on. So when we sat down and we started using learning targets to kind of focus our instruction a little bit more, we broke down the curriculum and how we were teaching it into I can statements. So for instance, if you're looking at like place value for 4th grade, the very first thing that we talk about is I can write in standard form, word form, expanded form. So we have just like number forms in general, and then we have I can compare two numbers, like, so it like slowly accelerates and goes across the curriculum. So this one would be one game. This one would be I can identify and write the pattern. So that would be one that I have to kind of create the label for. But I'm gonna get these games put inside some folders. I'm crossing my fingers that I have enough folders. For him. This one is here. So the weather outside is frightful. I'm just kidding. No, but the weather outside is so dreary and like gloomy, and it's like drizzly and it's cold, and I love it. And I really, really want to go home so that I can like snuggle. We're gonna have pizza tonight, so it's gonna be like one of those like really good movie night snuggle nights after I get this video up. But yes, I'm trying to get my butt out of here. My sinuses have also been acting up, sorry. But I wanted to show you guys because I was really, really excited. Our beans started sprouting. So check this out. Look at that little guy. He's sprouting. He's coming out. So this one is coming out. I don't think any of the other ones on this side. Actually, I think that one up there is actually starting to sprout, but you can't see it. And there's another one on this side. Do you see him? Do you see how he's starting to sprout? They're sprouting. I'm so excited. So over my last 2 breaks that I had, well, the only 2 breaks that I had for the day, I was able to get some early finisher work done. I know the person who made these, and I really, really like her. I don't remember her name for the weirdest reason. Fun in 5th grade. So Fun in 5th grade. I met her during a TBT meetup that was here in my area. She was incredibly sweet and offered to like send me these, but I went out and I just purchased them because I really like the activity that she has. She has them on a lot of different topics as well, which is really, really cool. Is this thing falling? Ooh. All right. She also has them on a lot of really different topics, which is really neat and nice, because once you teach the game to the kids can really kind of just take any concept and apply it to that game. So for those of you who know how to play Uno, then you're going to be able to play this game. This game is called You Know. And so I got 2 different ones right now. I got multiplication and then I got division, because it's a really good thing for my students just to be able to practice those multiplication and division facts to make sure that they're becoming more fluent with it. So I got those cut out, and I also labeled the back. So I have division set 1 on all of these. So in case the card does fall out, we know exactly which set it belongs to. Same thing with the multiplication. I also have multiplication set 1, and then the other one just says set 2. So I'm gonna put these in like little boxes and then find a place for me to put them out in the room somewhere on Monday. So between that and then setting up the rest of the goal work that I have to take home and kind of finish labeling them, and I also need to make the front labels for the containers, add a couple of more games. I'm just gonna do that over the weekend when I'm having some like downtime with my family, because I think it is supposed to be like a true weekend this weekend. So it's gonna be a lot of at-home time. But I need to get goal work finished up for some of those kiddos and then find a place for these on Monday. And I'm really happy with the way that my board kind of came out this week. It worked out really well. So next week I'm going to try and make it a permanent deal so it does look a little bit better than what it does look at the moment, because right now it looks awful. That's going to be kind of my focus for Monday morning. I figured that before I ended this video, I would just kind of take a minute to address the question that I got on YouTube that I felt like would be a really good question, and I know a lot of people out there are probably wondering about this exact same thing. So I got a question from, I'm looking at it, Carol. And she said, how do you keep a 6th grader's self-esteem up when they are in a 4th grade math group? It's funny that you say this, because as we have been kind of putting this MAC team together, we've been making lots of observations about our kids, and more specifically, like as in the different age groups and the different grade groups as well. Our kids don't notice. They have no idea. And it's not like we say, hey, you're in the 4th grade group, or hey, you're in the 3rd or 6th grade or 5th grade group. They truly have no idea. And because we have such a huge mixture of kids, we have kids who are gifted, we have kids who are learning support, we have kids who are ESL, we have kids, like, we just have a huge range of them, that we do have 6th graders and 5th graders and 4th grades mixed together. We do have a lot of mixture in the rooms that they don't notice it, and all they know is that they are working on content. That's it. And we've also taken note of that these kids, 6th graders, are building these friendships with 4th and 5th graders, and it's a very genuine friendship that they have. It is not a, oh, I'm a 6th grader, I'm a big bad 6th grader, you are little bitty 4th grader and I want to help you out. No, it's like a genuine friendship that they're building with these kids, because they don't take note of it. Half the time, a lot of us don't even take note of like what grades they are, because we see them more as like a kid here in our MAC team, as our learner who is working towards a certain goal. So we don't really have to focus on self-esteem. I think it would be really different if we were, like, if I was the 4th grade teacher, they were the 5th grade, she was the 6th grade teacher, but it's not like that. Like, we are all teaching a lot of different topics. So the kids don't really notice. And I think if I was that 4th grade teacher and I had to move my kids, going up or going down, they would then take note of that. I think that's kind of where it comes into play. So the fact that we are already mixed together, our kids are not taking note of where they are academically. They know that they're working on skills, but they're not really ashamed of it. Does that make sense? Like, they don't have that feeling in them. I hope that makes sense. I think it would be really different if we were teaching the way we did last year and we were moving our kids to other teachers, like on our vertical teams. But because of the MAC team itself and the way we are constructed, it doesn't happen for us. I think it also helps, and this is kind of my last point, but I think it also helped that at the beginning of the year we did a lot of switching and changing around. We were always moving the kids. They had different teachers. Next week they had somebody different. They went to this place, they did this place, and they were all mixed up that they had no idea what was happening. So they never got comfortable with the fact that all the 6th graders are together, or all the 4th graders are together, or all the 5th graders are they never got to see that. So from the get-go, we kind of set that expectation, set that kind of standard of, we're all in this together, and this is kind of our big family, and that's who we are, and this is how we're doing things. And they don't really notice, to be honest. They just know they got to work on things. And y'all, and we don't put them down for it, like, at all. Like, we do not put our kids down for the fact that they are, this age and working on this level. We say, you know what? You're working towards a goal, and I'm very proud of you for how hard you are working, and we're gonna get you there. So they see a lot of that from us, and they hear a lot of that from us, because we are constantly trying to uplift our kids and trying to push our kids to better themselves. So I hope this makes sense to all of you. It truly does, in my mind, make sense, and it's working out beautifully. Like, the relationships and just the friendships that they're building together, I mean, it has been magic to see it happen within a classroom setting. And so, I mean, I could not be more thrilled and more excited to be in this program this year and working with these kids. So yes, on that note, I'm gonna go ahead and end this video. I hope that you guys enjoyed this. I know it was really math focused this week, but I was trying to focus my brain on math and really making sure that I was kind of I was trying to grow myself in that area. So give the video a thumbs up if you really enjoyed the content and just kind of the layout of the video. I would love to know that. So if you did like it, make sure to give it a thumbs up. If you are new to my channel, welcome. I would love for you to subscribe if you enjoyed this content, and I guess I will talk to you guys next week. I hope you have a great weekend. Bye.